Hello, seniors. We are going to be starting your Common Application this morning. So in a new tab in your browser, you're going to go to commonapp.org, the first link that pops up. And this is what your screen will look like. You're going to click on Apply Now. Most of you have not created an account, so that's going to be your first step, is to create an account. If you have created an account, go ahead and skip forward to the instructions after the account has been created. So I'm going to click Create an Account. You are a student, and then you're going to fill in your personal email and your personal information. So go ahead and pause and type that in. Okay, once you've typed in your email address and your password, do make sure that your password is following these guidelines. If it's not, it won't let you move on. Once you've written this all down, go over to your application prep workbook and write your username and your password down. Okay, so I'm going to go back to my college application workbook. I've written down my username and my password underneath my password tracker. And now I'm ready to move on. So I'm going to write in my first name, last name, my address, phone number, date of birth. Go ahead and pause and do that now. Okay, so notice that I'm using my full first and last name. Sometimes I go by Miss Wyatt in class, but I'm including my second last name of Yort because that's what shows up on my social security number and on my birth certificate. You're going to have your date of birth. You are all applying as a first-year student, and you are planning to start college in 2017 or 2018. Off to the side, there are different options that you can check off. I want to make sure that colleges can communicate with me via mail, email, phone, and text message. If you don't want that, you can uncheck that. I don't really want to receive emails from the Common Application, so I'm going to uncheck that. You do have to agree to the terms and use, and you do have to agree to the Common App cookies, and then you're going to click Create. And then you're in. So we're going to start by filling out the Common Application. This is the main dashboard that will show up. As you add schools, different pieces of information will pop up on this main dashboard. For right now, we're going to go over to the Common App tab. It'll pull some of the information that you've entered before, and we're just going to go through. So I'm going to add my middle name as Adela. I don't have a suffix. I also don't have a preferred nickname, but if you do, you can add that. I have used other names, so I'm going to put just Wyatt as my former last name. But if you don't have other names, you're going to click No. I identify as a female, and it pulls my date of birth. I'm going to click Continue. My address that I typed in before will pop up automatically. I've got no alternate address, and I'll click Continue. My preferred phone is my mobile phone. I've entered it before. If you have another phone number to pull, you can add it if you want to add your home number. Otherwise, we'll click No Other Telephone, and you'll click Continue. All of this demographic information is optional. So if you would like to select a religious preference, you can. You can also choose none. None of you are currently in the armed forces. If you identify as Hispanic or Latino, you're going to check the yes box. My family comes from Cuba, so I will check that box. But if your family comes from one of these countries or from this general region, from South America, you can check off one of those boxes, or from Central America, you can check off one of those boxes. If you identify as one of these categories, you can check them off. I also identify as white, but if you do not identify as one of these backgrounds, you can just leave this blank. What's important is that at the end of this, you do have to check off that box of, yes, I've completed this section to my satisfaction. Then you'll hit Continue. You're going to answer your country of birth questions. So wherever you were born, you're going to check that off. I was born in Arlington, Texas. I have lived in the US for however old I am. I think I put that I was born in 2000, so for 17 years. And if you have lived outside of the US, you're going to answer these questions. Try to answer them as specifically as you can. If you speak 2 languages at home, or 1 other language at home, if you speak Spanish and English, you'll check 2. The first language, if you speak English, if it's not the first language spoken at home, then you'll do speak, read, and write. For Spanish, if it's spoken at home and you can speak, read, and write it, one of these languages has to be your first language that you learned. If Spanish was that first language, then you'll check Spanish. If English was that first language, then you'll check English. If you just speak English at home, then you'll check off all of these boxes. Okay. In this next box, you're going to select your citizen status. So if you were born in the US and you are a US citizen, you're going to check the first box. If you are a permanent resident or a refugee, if you have a visa or a green card, you'll check off, you'll choose one of these 2 selections. If you are undocumented, you'll choose other non-US, and it'll ask you to choose what country you have your citizenship with. If you currently hold a valid US visa, you'll check no, and for this last question, if you are undocumented, you're going to choose I do not know which visa I will hold. And then you will be able to click continue. This option is just in case you would like to receive information from a program called ScholarSnap about college scholarships and financial aid. If you are interested in receiving that information, you'll choose yes. If not, you'll choose no. And then this last section about the Common App fee waiver. So it's asking you if you feel like your financial circumstances might qualify you for an application fee waiver. You're all going to choose yes. This first box will apply to all of you. You have received or you're eligible to receive an ACT or SAT testing fee waiver. So if none of these other ones apply to you, then you can check off that box. Otherwise, just read through the other options and see which apply to you the best. Many of you will qualify for free and reduced lunch, but there might be other information or other pieces of information that you apply for. And then you're going to type your name like you would in an official signature. This last box is just asking you if you'd like to be connected with free virtual mentoring for college. If you are interested in receiving information from this program, you can choose yes. If not, you can choose no. And then you'll hit continue. Okay, on that next page, you're going to be answering questions about your household. If you're going to answer this question based on the status of your parents. So if your parents are married, you'll choose married. If they're separated, you'll choose separated. If they're divorced, you'll choose the year of their divorce. So you should know that from your financial aid application. You can log on to FAFSA or DREAM to see what that year is. And then if your parents are divorced or if you only live with one parent, you're going to choose the parent with whom you live with or with whom you spend more time. If you live with both parents or if you kind of split your time evenly between the two, then you can choose both parents. If you'd like to list a step parent, you can. If not, you can say no. That is up to you. If your parents were never married, but you live with both parents, you can kind of note that as it is. So I'm going to just let you pause and fill out that section. Okay, And then the next section, so I'm answering this, or this is what it looks like if your parents are still married. You'll fill out all of your information about parent 1. If the parent, chances are if your parents are married, then your address is the same as your home address. And you'll answer all of this information to the best of your ability. If your parents are divorced, I'll just show you what that looks like. You can enter information for parent 1. If you don't know the information for parent 2, you can choose I do not have another parent to list. And then all of the mandatory starred options will disappear. If you do want to list both parents, or if you have limited information about that parent, you can choose that option as well. Okay, and then the last section is about your siblings. So if you have, you'll choose the number of siblings that you have. If you have more than 5 siblings, choose 5, and that's okay. And then you'll enter information about your sibling, their first name, last name, and then their education level. So if your sibling is younger, they're not in high school, you're gonna choose some grade in primary school. If they are in high school, or if they've completed through 8th grade, you'll choose completed grade in primary school. Chances are not a lot of you will choose this because most of your siblings will be in high school if they've completed grade school. So you can choose some high school if they're currently in high school. If they've graduated from high school but have not gone to college, then you'll choose graduated from high school or equivalent. If they've graduated from high school and gone to community college or to a trade school, then you'll choose that option. If they've finished their time at a community college or at a trade school, you'll choose graduated. And if they're in a 4-year college, that's when you'll choose, if they're currently in a 4-year college, you'll choose some college or university. If they've graduated from a 4-year college, you'll choose graduated from a 4-year college. And finally, if they've gone to additional school after their 4-year degree, that is when you'll choose graduate school. And so you'll fill that out for your sibling or siblings. Go ahead and pause and do that now. Okay, once you're done with that section and you hit continue, you should notice 2 green check marks that pop up next to your profile and family. If there is not a green check mark here in either of those sections, that means that you left a question blank that required an answer. You should pause now and go back to those 2 sections and see if you have missed a question, and if you have, answer it, and don't move on until you've got 2 green check marks. Okay, if you are ready to move on, we're going to answer the education questions. You're going to find your most recent school. We're going to search by CEEB code, and you're going to type in the numbers 053970. And Leadership Public Schools, Richmond should pop up. You'll check it off and hit continue. Unless you are a transfer student, your date of entry is August 2014. It's not a boarding school. You will graduate from this school, so you will check yes. Your graduation date is June 2018. For most of you, there has been no change in your progression. Actually, I believe for all of you, there has been no change in your progression. You're not graduating early or late, or taking time off, or taking a gap year. Then you're going to enter my or Miss Sanchez's information. Both of our information is up on the board, and so you can just look up to fill that out. So go ahead and pause, fill in our information that is up on the board. You're going to put the college counselor who is your caseload manager. If you have a question as to who your caseload manager is, call one of us over and we should be able to answer. Once you're done filling that out, you'll hit continue. If you have transferred from another school and that school shows up on your transcript, you're going to add that school here. So for example, if I went to Kennedy, I would look up Kennedy in Richmond because there are going to be a lot of Kennedy